so I can sync it later. Okay, so why 1953 and Franco Spain?
Well, I was interested in studying it in 1953 because there was a military pact set up between the US and Franco in that year. Basically, the US government gave about, I think, 200 million to Franco for the right to put military bases on Spain to protect the US from the Soviet Union. So I wanted that kind of McCarthy, kind of beginning of the Cold War kickoff. And my central character, August, is an American who fought in the Spanish Civil War and an ex-Marxist, and he gets taken back into Franco Spain, so it was the perfect backdrop. I was very attracted to covering some of the old Basque spiritual beliefs and weaving that into something greater, or something wider, I should say. And also the huge diversity of people that had fought on the side of the International Brigade, particularly the Americans. There's not that much literature about the Lincoln Brigade. And I wanted a guy who was Bostonian, you know, son of a Republican senator, classic kind of blue blood from Boston, to go through the whole arc into socialism, into that war, which was very complex, and then out the other side with post-war stress syndrome, and then to get sucked back into Franco Spain in '53. Also, the thing about August, you know, he's born in Boston, he's educated in Boston, and then he does his doctorate at Oxford, and it's in those years that he's recruited into the Communist Party, so looking at the early 30s. And historically, you know, it's where Anthony Blunt and a lot of the MI5 defectors came out of, that intelligentsia, that pool of students in the 30s, 20s and 30s that got pulled into socialism as an anecdote, actually, to the rise of fascism. There's another aspect to the thriller which, like Sphinx, is typical T.S. Lerner, and that is the kind of esoteric aspect of the book. And I don't want to give it away too much, but suffice to say that the Chronicle takes him to several secret locations around Europe, and into a kind of network of old international brigaders, both in France and in Germany, in Hamburg, because I also covered the Thälmann Brigade, which were the Germans that fought on the side of the International Brigade against Hitler and Franco. And within these secret locations, there are mazes, and within those mazes, there's a key. And the Basque family that he returns the Chronicle to, in a sense, also carry the spiritual clue, revelation of the Chronicle, which at the end of the book itself is revealed, makes a very powerful ending. And I hope that you, the readers, enjoy it. It's very much in the same kind of tone as Sphinx. I'm very proud of it. It's a very clean read. And I think August Winthrop himself, although it's not in first person, it's in third person, is very compelling. You get insights into his psychology, you get insights into his, post-stress trauma disorder. In terms of the research, I worked with Anna, my friend, Basque friend, and a few other Basque academics. And I went to the area where I wanted my fictional village to be, just outside of Bilbao. And we interviewed people about their experiences living under Franco, people that had been active in the Basque Nationalist Party. Also, you know, we went to a fantastic old traditional Basque farmhouse, which was superb, and just generally immersed ourselves and myself into the culture. And also, I used a lot of readers, you know, specialists, to check my proofs, so I get everything completely correct. I also went to Hamburg and with my friend Henning Bucher and interviewed various people that had lived through Hamburg in '53, which was during the British occupation. And you know, it was completely fascinating. And you know, I do try with all of my books to research as extensively as possible. Well, I love old books, and I liked the notion of an object, a bit like Sphinx, where it was the astrolabe, but a kind of object that triggers this huge odyssey of August's. And I wanted to cover the persecution of the Sephardic Jews in the Inquisition, and also the earlier Jewish mystics from the time of the Ottoman Empire. And the chronicle itself, although it's written in 1607, is actually, he's actually tracking the journey of an earlier mystic, Ezra, from I think 7th century, which was an heirloom that Simon in Cordova had inherited from his family. So he's following this great journal that his father has said will lead to great riches, and his own chronicle is his diary that he's kept going through Spain and Europe to all of these locations that the earlier mystic had gone. The actual feel and texture of the book itself is quite sexy. It's very visceral. I mean, I like to think that I'm a very visceral type of writer, where I really try and think about the way things would feel and sound and smell. You know, it's old parchment. August has to decode it. You know, it's in code, so he has to wax it and then take a pressing, and it's Latin in mirror. So the actual text is hidden under a banal covering of, you know, reportage of the flowers of the Basque country of Spain. So in that way, I've eroticized the actual book itself, and it has a soul, it has a real presence within the thriller, and certainly it's a huge catalyst. Well, it is the catalyst for August to go back into Franco's Spain, risking his life, risking releasing all of these appalling memories he has of being in Spain during the Civil War.